Tam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padahan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyahe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Golam Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata, Maduram Madurebhyo Pi Mangalebhyo Pi Mangalam, Pavanam Pavanebhyo Pi Hare Namahe Kevalam. I'm just putting the other side, the incense, here.
What, me?
No, just telling him. That side there. A reading from Jaiva Dharma. 10th chapter, Nitya Dharma and History. So, philosophical discussions are there. Amongst scholarly persons and even amongst Vaishnavas. Sometimes they're pressing different opinions. So here we can see, although different opinions are there, but they're respectfully treating each other or then inquiring from each other. So Nyaya Ratna said, we have one or two questions to ask and we would like you to answer them. When Paramahamsa Babaji Mahashaya heard this request, he summoned Sri Vaishnavadas Babaji Mahashaya to join them. When Vaishnavadas Babaji entered, he offered pranam to Paramahamsa Babaji and said next to him. Within a short while, a small group of Vaishnavas had gathered. Nyayaratna Mahashaya then asked his question. Please tell us whether the Vaishnava religion is ancient or modern. Yes? I thought so also, I just, yeah. Yeah, I thought also that we read that. Let me see. Ah. No, I don't think so. We read this type here.
Chapter 10, right?
Chapter 10, yeah. Paramahamsa Babaji requested Vaishnavadas to respond. In a peaceful yet grave tone and voice, Vaishnavadas said, the Vaishnava Dharma is Sanatana, everlasting, and Nitya, eternal. Nyayaratna, I see that there are two types of Vaishnava Dharma. One maintains that the Paratattva known as Brahma is formless and devoid of qualities. Of course, we understand that the Vaishnavas, they always say that the Absolute Truth has a form. So this Brahmana scholar, so he was not properly informed. However, since there is no question of worshipping a formless object, sadhakas first imagine Brahma to have some form and then they worship that. This worship is only needed to purify the heart, and when the heart is purified, knowledge of the formless Brahma arises. At that point, there is no longer any need to continue the worship of forms. The forms of Radha, Krishna, Rama, Nishinga are all imaginary and are byproducts of Maya. When one worships these imaginary forms, knowledge of Brahma gradually awakens. That we didn't read. Among worshippers of the five deities, Panchopasakas, those who worship the deity of Vishnu and recite Vishnu mantras, with this attitude consider themselves Vaishnavas. So, Panchopasak. So the Mayavadis also sometimes, as mentioned here, they worship Krishna, Ram, Nishinga, or Panchopasak. So that means 5 personalities. And they may worship also Brahma, and then Shiva or Durga, and so then Vishnu, and sometimes Surya Dev also, or even Ganesh. And so he's explaining that those who worship Vishnu, even amongst the Mayavadis, for temporary time, so in order to become purified, they become one with the absolute Brahman. So they may be accepted as Vaishnavas, but the Vaishnavas, they don't agree with this. The second type of Vaishnava Dhamma, Bhagavan Vishnu, Rama, Krishna, accepted as Parabrahma, possessing eternal forms. When the sadhaka worships one of these particular forms with the corresponding mantras, he obtains eternal knowledge of the specific deity whom he worships and receives the mercy of that deity. According to this view, the doctrine of impersonalism is Mayavad, which is a misconception that Shankara has propagated. Now tell us, which of these two types of Vaishnavism is everlasting and eternal? Vaishnavdas. The second of these is the real Vaishnava Dharma, and it is eternal. The other Vaishnava Dharma is in name only. The other is Vaishnava Dharma in name only. In reality, this pseudo Vaishnava Dharma is opposed to real Vaishnava Dharma. It is temporary and has originated from Mayavad doctrine. So, Nyayaratna, I understand that in your opinion the only true Vaishnava Dharma is the doctrine that you have received from Chaitanya Dev. You do not accept that the worship of Radha, Krishna, Ram and Nishinga constitute Vaishnava Dharma in and of itself. You only accept the worship of Radha, Krishna or other deities as Vaishnava Dharma. If it is conducted in accordance with the ideology of Chaitanya. Is this not so? it is a fine idea, but how can you claim that this type of Vaishnava Dharma is eternal? So of course here look again, this is not the proper understanding. The devotees of Mahaprabhu so he's thinking that only the devotees of Mahaprabhu only worship Radha Krishna, and worshipping Ram and Rishinga does not constitute Vaishnava Dharma. But this is also not correct. So according to the devotees of Mahaprabhu, anyone who is worshipping the Lord in his eternal form, it may be Vishnu, Ram or Krishna, so they are considered to be Vaishnavas. Vaishnav Das. This type of Vaishnav Dharma is taught throughout the Vedic Shastras and is instructed in all the Smriti Shastras. All the Vedic histories sing the glories of this Vaishnav Dharma. Nyaya. It is obvious that Chaitanya Dev is the pioneer of this doctrine, but he appeared less than 150 years ago, so how can it be eternal? Vaishnav Das. This Vaishnav Dharma has been in existence from the very moment of the Jiva's appearance. The Jivas are anadi because they have no beginning in material time. Therefore, the constitutional function of the Jivas, known as Jaiva Dharma or Vaishnav Dharma, is also anadi. So that is the correct understanding. That the Jivas are eternal sons of Krishna, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also. Mamevam sajiva loke jivabhuta sanatana. So the living entities are my part and parcels. So they are sanatana, they are in eternal. And so Krishna is eternally existent, Vishnu is eternally existent, and all the associates of Krishna, Vishnu, they're constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. When this material world is manifested, at that time, so the Jivas, they come in this world, and then for the benefit of the conditioned souls, but the Jivas, the conditioned souls, then the Lord is also appearing. So these Jivas, although not yet not engaged in the service of the Lord, are by nature also eternal servants of Krishna. Jivere Swarupa Hoy Krishna Era Nitya Das. Brahma is the first Jiva to take birth in the universe. As soon as he appeared, the Vedic sound, vibration, which is the basis of Vaishnava Dharma, also became manifest. This is recorded in the 4 essential shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Chatushloki. It is also mentioned in the Mundaka Upanishad. Brahma Devanam Pratama Sambhabuva Vishwasya Karta Bhavanasya Gupta Sa Brahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham Atharvaya Jeshta Putraya Praha. Brahma is the first of all the Devas and who appeared from the lotus that sprouted from the navel Bhagavan, is the creator of the universe and the maintainer of all living entities. He imparted Brahma Vidya, which is the basis for all other knowledge, unto his eldest son, Atharva. So Brahma also mentioned here the creator, but we should understand that is the secondary creator. The original creator is the Supreme Lord Himself. Krishna is the origin of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhava mata savam pavartateti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. I am the source of everything. Everything emanates from me. And therefore the wise persons, they worship me. So Brahma is the secondary creator. And ultimately, so Vishnu is also the maintainer of all the living entities. And Brahma is the secondary maintainer of the living entities. And Krishna is the original Guru, Jagat Guru. But then in this world, the Lord Brahma saw, he was imparted, as mentioned here also, knowledge and the Gayatri mantra, the Gopa mantra was received by Brahma, by Krishna and Divya Saraswati. And then he was able to do the work of creation, and he himself imparted Brahma Vidya, transcendental knowledge. To different personalities, and as mentioned here, to his eldest son Atharva. The Rig Veda Samhita mentions the instructions of this Brahma Vidya. Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sada Pashyati Suryaho Divya Chaksho Radadam. So famous verse which the pujaris are chanting every day after performing Achman. You're pujaris? You want to be pujari?
I am when I'm outside of
Okay. So you know the verse, right? Om Tad Vishnu. You chant after doing Achman? Okay. You? Not yet, huh? You? Okay. You? No? You know? Mantra?
Yeah, well, I do Ashman, I'm going to do until that time.
That time, okay. You know by heart? Om Tad Vishnu? Okay, good. It is said in the Kathopanishad, Vishnu Riyat Paramam Padam.
Can I clarify something? Sorry. When you said when Brahma received which mantra?
Yeah,
You
he
talked about Saraswati. What about Saraswati?
yeah, so it is mentioned also in Brahma Samhita that Brahmaji, he received, of course, first he heard the word tapa, and then he performed austerity. And then, so the Gayatri was given to him by the Supreme Lord. Of course, the 4 nutshell verses, Chatushloki, were also spoken to him by the Supreme Lord. And then, so it is mentioned, Divya Saraswati gave him the Gopal mantra. So which we are also chanting. Alright? Okay. So it is said in the Kathopanishad, Vishnu Riyat Paramam Padam. So similar verse. Only lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Vishnu is the highest attainment. The Shvetashvatar Upanishad says, Sarvadisha urvam adashchatir yad prakasatyam brajate yad vanadvan. Evam sadevo bhagavan varenyo yoni sabhavan aditishtatyekaha. Bhagavan is the Supreme Person and the original source of all the devas. He is the supreme object of worship and is one without a second. Just as the sun shines radiantly, illuminates all directions, upwards, downwards, and on all sides. So Bhagavan regulates material nature, which is the origin of all the different species of life. So it is mentioned Bhagavan, so is the maintainer here, Vishnu. Also then we hear that Brahma is the creator and Shiva is the annihilator of this world. So we should understand it ultimately. The Supreme Lord is the origin of everything, ultimately the original creator, and also by His will the material world is annihilated. But then Lord Brahma are there helping, or is there to do the work of creation. But then even as explained previous class that Lord Shiva is also there and Durga Devi at the time of creation. So being instrumental for the creation of this world. And then Lord Brahma comes into being. And then he's doing the work of creation, creating the different living bodies, and the different bodies, species of life, and then different living entities are entering into the different bodies. And so then, as mentioned here also in the verse, that he's the maintainer. So to some extent he is maintaining also, so that we cannot deny. But the ultimate maintainer, that is Vishnu or Krishna. So even, for example, so the embodied beings now, the human beings in this world, they may do something also. They may create something, like making a house, right? Making a house? Trying, yeah. Your house is done? No, huh? Okay. Yeah. With the help of some people, you created the house, right? Yeah, yeah. So you had some desire, and then then there's a designer there. You have the desire, then the designer is there, and then you have people helping to create it. But it takes time to create, right? And not so easy. Let's see how long it will take you, right? Yeah.
Small project.
And then maintaining, so then you will have to maintain. You know, like we have this house. So I had also desires. There was a need of having a house. I mean, maybe we want to worship Krishna, but still we are living here. And as householder, we need a house. Because you can rent, but if you have your own house, that is better. And then I had one devotee helping me in creating, because I was busy doing seva and I didn't want to be involved in construction and supervising. And now the house is there, so but then we have to maintain also. So always something is breaking, so we have to maintain. And sometimes you have to break something, what to do. And maybe one day I will think, okay, now I move somewhere else. I may be thinking. And then let's say I will sell this place. Then somebody may come and then they think I'll make something bigger than this place. And they break it. And it's gone. And then have a 5-story building with many flats to make more money. So So even the human being, so he may create something, maintain something, and destroy something. So some power is there to do something. And even for the destruction of the universe, Lord Shiva is there. But so he's getting the power from Vishnu. And as explained, so Lord Shiva, so he's a very special personality. He's a Vaishnav. And so he's there in the process of creation, and to some extent he's also trying to maintain sometimes something. And then in the process of annihilation is there. On the order of the Supreme Being, the Supreme Lord. So, and Lord Shiva, so Yatha Vaishnavam Shambhu is a great Vaishnav. And so, although he's there in the process of creation or annihilation, but is absorbed in the worship of the Lord, Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he is recognizing that we should take shelter of Srimati Radharani. And so, in order to obtain the ability to serve Krishna properly, to the best possible way. So Srimati Radharani is respected for this, is worshipped, taken shelter of. And for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, so in the beginning, so Krishna is worshipped. But then in purified consciousness we take shelter of Srimati Radharani. We beg for the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And so the Radha Kripa Kataksha Stotram emanated from the lotus mouth of Lord Shiva, speaking to Parvati. Muninda Vinda Vandite Te Loka Shokahari Prasanna Vakta Pankaje Nikunja Bhuvilasini Brajendra Bano Nandini Brajendra Sunu Sangate Katha Karishasi Hamam Kripa Katakshabajanam. So, desiring Kripa Kataksha, Radha Kripa Kataksha, the sidelong, merciful glance of Srimati Radharani. Muninda Vinda Vandite. So she's being worshipped, Vandite, by the greatest munis, like Narada Muni and others. So they are all worshipping Srimati Radharani. So when Radharani appeared, then Narada Muni came to Vrishabhanu Maharaj's palace. So as we know, she appeared in Raval as Nanda Baba, and the Vrishabhanu Maharaj was taking bath, and she appeared on a lotus flower, which is floating in the Jamuna. So he took her, brought her home, and showed to Kirtida Devi, look what I've gotten here, beautiful girl. But then he saw that she was not opening her eyes. So he thought she's blind. But what to do? Very beautiful, very attractive. And then so Narada Muni came to his house, and he asked, so, because he knew Radharani appeared, he said to him, Vrishabhanu Maharaj, so you have any children? Any child was just born? And so he was feeling embarrassed, and first he said, oh yes, I have one son, Sridhar. Acha, Narada is saying, what about no daughter? No. And then hesitantly, so he brought Srimati Radharani. And then Narada Muni offered his obeisances and glorified Srimati Radharani, touched her feet, so congratulated Vrishabhanu Maharaj and Srimati Radharani. And so Vrishabhanu Maharaj was very surprised that is showing so much worship, so much offering of prayers. And of course, Narada Muni then assured him that very soon she will open her eyes also. So that she did when Nanda Baba and Krishna came to Vrishabhanu Maharaj's palace. As Vrishabhanu had invited them. So they may see his beautiful daughter. And so when we were talking together, so the elders, Krishna came to where Radharani was there, and then when he was in front of her, then she opened her eyes, and she saw beautiful little Krishna, the first thing she saw in this world. So all the great sages, they know the glories of Srimati Radharani, they worship here. Triloka Shoka Harini, so she's taking all the miseries away of the living entities, of the jivas, of the human beings who take shelter of her. So she's engaged in the loving exchange with Bhajendra Sunu, the son of Nanda Baba, Braja Indra, the king of Braj. So Lord Shiva is offering the respect and begging for the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Makeshwari, Kriyeshwari, Sareshwari, Sureshwari, Triveda Bharateshwari, Pramana Shasaneshwari, Rameshwari, Kshameshwari, Pramoda Kananeshwari, Brajeshwari, Brajadipe, Siradike, Namastute, Siradike, Namastute, Siradike, Namastute. So in the beginning we understand that we are the servants of Krishna, but then in purified consciousness in our sampradaya also specifically, then we take shelter of Srimati Radharani, and Radharani is everything for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Swamini is Srimati Radhika, and we are the servants of Srimati Radharani. Radha Tasyam. So Lord Shiva is great personality who is giving also this transcendental knowledge. So here, as mentioned in this verse, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sada Pashyanti Suryaho. that the Vipras, the saintly devotees, they can reveal the Holy Dham because they have seen the Holy Dham and they have seen Krishna. Diviva Chakshor, with divine eyes, they can see the abode of the Lord. And so, just as the sun is illuminating this whole world, similarly Krishna is actually illuminating all the directions. And the sun is actually getting the light from the Brahma Jyoti, which is Krishna's effulgence. Similarly, the moon and the stars. So that Krishna ultimately, or Vishnu, is there also regulating this or maintaining this material universe. It is said in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman Yo Veda Nihitam Gahayam Parame Vyoman So Ashnute Sarvam Kamam Saha Brahmana Vipaschita. Paratattva Brahma is the embodiment of truth, knowledge and eternity. So Krishna is the absolute truth. Param Satya. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. The absolute truth is Sri Krishna. Most auspicious and beautiful. So it's the embodiment of truth, Param Satya, the supreme truth, the absolute truth. Is the embodiment of knowledge, Chit Shakti. Krishna is the source of all knowledge, is the Adi Guru, the original spiritual master, Jagat Guru. Vande Krishna Jagat Gurum. And eternity. Although that Brahma is situated in the spiritual sky, he is hidden in the sky of the hearts of all living entities. So he is situated in the spiritual realm, in Vaikuntha, either in the form of Vishnu or Ram, or Krishna in Braj. And is also in the heart of the living entities. Heart means in the region of the heart. One who knows Ishvara, who is situated within, as the indwelling supersoul attains the consummation of all his desires in contact with that all-knowing Ishvara. Nyayaratna, the Rig Veda states, Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. They see the supreme abode of Vishnu. How can you see that this? How can you say that this doesn't refer to the Vaishnava Dharma that is included in the Mayavad doctrine? Vaishnavas, the Vaishnava Dharma that is included within the scope of Mayavad rejects the conception of an eternal servitorship to Bhagavan. The Mayavadis believe that when the sadhaka acquires knowledge, he attains the status of Brahma. However, where is the question of service if one becomes Brahma? It is said in the Kathopanishad. So here many times the Upanishads are mentioned. So 108 Upanishads are there. These are Vaishnava literatures. And so we gain knowledge from these scriptures, and Prabhupada, she presented one of the Upanishads, Ishopanishad. Isha Upanishad, which is about the Supreme Lord. Isha refers to the Supreme Lord. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyo namedaya nabahuna shotena yam eva isa vrinute tena labhyastasyaisha atma vivrinute tanum swam. Famous verse. Also Prabhupada many times quoted this verse. So, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya, Pravachan by speaking, Labhya attained. That Paramatma, Parabrahma cannot be attained by delivering learned discourses. So simply by discussing about Krishna, it is not that me immediately realize Krishna. By applying one's intelligence, made he, or even by hearing the Vedas extensively, bahunena shutena, that Paramatma is attainable only by one upon whom he bestows his mercy. So we attain the Supreme by the mercy of the Lord. But we have to endeavor and beg for the mercy, cry for the mercy. And then we may be able to get the mercy of the Lord. Since the Paramatma is very close by, he reveals his own form. So Paramatma is there in everyone's heart, accompanying the individual soul wherever he goes. So those who are fortunate, they will take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And then they may see the Supreme Lord. But of course, as Guru Vaishnavas, we are more interested in seeing Krishna than Vishnu. So we offer pranam to Paramatma, to the Super Soul. But we worship Krishna. Aradhya Bhagavan Brajeshatanyas Tadthama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachitapasana Vrajavaravarganiya Kalpidaha Srimad Bhagavatam Param Pramanam Mamaram Prema Pumatamahan Si Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatra Paraha. You know the verse? No? Very famous verse. So Mahaprabhu, that is Mahaprabhu's opinion. That is by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Famous verse. Prabhupada also many times recited that verse. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Tamidam Natra Na Paraha. There is no higher opinion than Mahaprabhu's opinion. Who is no different from Radha Krishna. He came as a devotee, or he since time immemorial, that form is there. But just to instruct us, he comes in this world as a devotee. And so he's saying, Aradhya Bhagavan, the worshipable Lord, Brajesha Tanaya. So that is Braja Ish, the Lord of Braj, that is Nanda Baba, and his son. So he's the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Is our worshipable Lord. Taddama Vrindavanam. Similarly, as worshipable is his holy Dham, Brajadham. Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavaravarganiya Kalpitaha. The Upasana, the worship of the Brajavadvai, the damsels of Braj, is most exalted, and that we cannot fully understand unless we take shelter of Sri Guru Gauranga and chant the holy names, the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then ultimately we may realize by chanting the holy names, the beautiful form of Krishna. And then, so we may see the holy abode of the Lord and the associates of Krishna. The only true religion is the constitutional function of service and surrender. There is not a means to attain Bhagavan's mercy and thus see his eternal form. Knowledge of Brahma will not enable one to attain darshan of Bhagavan's eternal form. We can understand from this categorical Vedic statement that pure Vaishnava Dharma is founded upon the Vedas. All the Vedas sanction the Vaishnava Dharma that Srimad Mahaprabhu taught. There is no room for doubt in this regard. Nyayaratna, is there any statement in the Vedas to the effect that Krishna Bhajan and not realization of Brahma Gyan is the highest attainment? Vaishnav Das. It is said in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Rasavai Saha. Krishna is the embodiment of Ras. Rasavai Saha, famous statement. And Rupa Goswami has also mentioned in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Akila Rasamrita Murti. Prasimara Ruchi Ruda Tarakapali, Shama, Lalito, Radha Prayan Vidu Jayati. So Krishna is the, compared to the moon, Vidur Jayati, all glories to Krishna, Krishna Chandra. So it's like the full moon. So the moon is somewhat effulgent, but at the same time a little, especially the full moon, of course, effulgent, but you can see there's a kind of darkish, the moon. So Krishna is known as Krishna Chandra also. Blackish in complexion, but most effulgent, like the full moon, but then also like the sun. So all transcendental mellows, they emanate from Krishna. So therefore he is the embodiment of Ras, Akila Rasamrita Murti. So and then the gopis are also described, and the foremost of them, Srimati Radharani. So Krishna is the embodiment of Ras besides the Chandogya Upanishad states. Shamach Chavalam Prapadye, Shabalach Chamam Prapadye. By serving to Krishna, one attains the transcendental abode of divine bliss, which is full of wonderful pastimes. And by reaching the transcendental abode of wonders, one attains Krishna. By serving Krishna, one attains the spiritual realm, Golok. And then one attains Krishna in Golok. There are many similar statements in the Vedas which declare that Krishna Bhajan is the highest attainment. Nyayaratna, is the name Krishna anywhere to be found in the Vedas? Vaishnava Das, does the word Sham not refer to Krishna? It is said in the Rig Veda, Appashyam Gopam Anipadyamara Nama. I saw Sri Krishna who is born in the dynasty of Gopas and who is imperishable. There are many statements in the Vedas that refer specifically to Krishna, who appeared as the son of a gop, cowboy. So Krishna is known as Gopal. He's taking care of the cows and the calves, he's protecting them. Nanda Gopa, Nandanandan, son of Nanda Maharaj, who is a cowherdman, but the king of Braj, Yashodanandan. Nyaya Krishna's name is not clearly mentioned in any of these statements. This is simply your contrived interpretation. Vaishnav Das. If you study the Vedas carefully, you will see that they have used these types of indirect statements in relation to every topic. The sages of old have explained the meaning of all these statements, and we should have the highest regard for their opinions. Nyaya Ratna, please tell me the history of Vaishnav Dharma. Vaishnav Das. I have already said that the appearance of Vaishnav Dharma is concurrent with the origin of the Jiva. Brahma was the first Vaishnav. Sriman Mahaprabhu is also Vaishnav. Sriman Mahadev is also Vaishnav. As are all the progenitors of mankind. See, Narayana Goswami, who was born from the mind of Brahma, is a Vaishnav. This clearly verifies that Vaishnav Dharma is not a recent development, but has been prevalent from the very beginning of creation. Not all living entities are free from the influence of the three modes of nature, and the superiority of a high Vaishnava will depend on the degree to which he is free from the modes. So that is a definition of a Vaishnava here. When one is free from the modes of material nature, one is a Vaishnava. So that is a pure Vaishnava, Shuddha Vaishnava, pure devotee. Is free from the modes of material nature, but is situated in this world in order to preach the glories of the holy names, preach the glories of Krishna and Mahaprabhu. The Mahabharata, Ramayana, and the Puranas are the histories of the Aryan race, and they have all described the excellence of Vaishnava Dharma. We have already seen that Vaishnava Dharma was present at the beginning of creation. Prahlad and Dhruv were both pure Vaishnavas. During that time there were many thousands of other Vaishnavas whose names are not given anywhere in history, because only the most prominent have been mentioned. Dhruva was the grandson of Manu and Prahlad was the grandson of Prajapati Kashyap, and they both lived close to the beginning of creation. Of this there is no doubt. You can therefore observe that pure Vaishnava Dharma was active from the beginning of history. Later the kings of the solar and lunar dynasties, as well as the great Munis and Rishi, were all intently devoted to Sri Vishnu. There is extensive mention of Vaishnava Dharma in the three previous ages, known as Satya, Treta and Dvapar. Even in the present age of Kali, Sri Ramanuja, Sri Madhvacharya and Sri Vishnu Swami in southern India and Sri Nimbaditya Swami in western India initiated many thousands of disciples into pure Vaishnava Dharma. By their mercy, perhaps half of the population of India crossed the ocean of Maya and attained shelter at the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Also, just consider how many downtrodden and degraded people Sri Satyanandana, who is the master of my heart and soul, delivered in this land of Bengal. Can you still not perceive the greatness of Vaishnava Dharma in spite of witnessing all this? Any question?
Why we get mercy like when we really cry and like feel we completely destroyed?
Oh, why we get the mercy then only?
Yeah.
Well, so we're getting the mercy even without crying. But at the same time, sometimes we have to cry to get the mercy. Bhakti yoga dan. Bhakti A. Krishna Nam. Smarane. Krandane. So the wealth of Bhakti yoga is there. And so what is Bhakti yoga? And so chanting the holy names. Remembering the Lord. So chanting the holy names and then remembering the Lord, and then krandene, also crying. We have to cry ultimately. So to get more mercy, we get already some mercy, but we need more mercy, so we have to cry. So without tears, we can also cry. To cry with tears is more difficult. So, Krishna, Krishna, please be merciful. So I'm crying, but no tears. But then I may be crying with tears, with a few tears coming. And then different kinds of crying. Out is because of helplessness. And then one because of blissful moments. One is chanting holy names and then seeing, perceiving Krishna, and then tears may come from the eyes. But then Krishna is disappearing, and then feeling separation is there, vipralamba bhav. And then tears will come also from separation. And the more one is then purified in existence, so then actually the more tears will come. And in separation also. Intense feelings of separation, and then so many tears may come, like torrents of rains. So that has been seen or recorded or told about Mahaprabhu when he cried in separation. So many tears were coming. But even then, when crying with the other devotees, like doing Rath Yatra. So, Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord, not different from Radha and Krishna. But he comes as a devotee to establish the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names, to give Braj Bhakti, especially the Madhurya Bhav. Anarpida charim chara kainavateno kalo samarpidam unadujjalam sarva bhakti sriyam. Anarpida charim chara kainavateno kalo samarpidam unadujjalam sabhakti. What is it? Unad Ujjala Ras. So it's giving Unad Ujjal Ras. Ujjal Ras, which is bright, shiny, Ujjal, Ras, mellow. Unad, the highest, so that refers to the love of the gopis of Braj, especially in the conjugal relationship. Narvida Charim Chera Kanavatana Kalo Sambak Petrum Unad Ujjala Rasam Sabakti Sriyam. So Mahaprabhu came to give this. So, so Krishna performs his wonderful pastimes in the spiritual world and then also in this world. And is helping the devotees to advance in spiritual life. And so, sometimes Krishna makes his devotees cry. But then it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, so difficulties are there, but we should not give up and always try to be surrendered to Krishna. So it is mentioned in CC. Glorious is the master who does not give up his servant. And glorious is the servant of the Lord who does not give up his master. So that should be our mood also. So now whatever happens, but we'll never give up the shelter of Krishna. Like the Pandavas, put in exile for 13 years, but they didn't give up the shelter of Krishna. And they accepted the situation, although Krishna was there, the Supreme Lord, with them. But they didn't complain, Krishna, what's happening to us. We are the Supreme Lord, we are your friends. Do something against Duryodhana and his rascal, his brothers. They didn't say anything. And they just tolerated and they left the kingdom for 13 years. So, Haridas Thakur was beaten in 22 marketplaces because he was chanting Hare Krishna. And the Muslim ruler told him, you stop this. Otherwise we kill you. He said, you can do whatever you want, I will never stop chanting, even you cut my body in 100 pieces. But you cannot kill me. So we are spirit soul, the soul cannot be killed, only the body can be hurt a little bit. So and then he was tolerating also. But in mercy Mahaprabhu is able to tolerate. So we have to see the mercy of the Lord. So the mercy of the Lord is there. And we have to try to see. Ishwaram yat karoti shobhanam eva karoti. Whatever the Lord does is shubh, is auspicious. So, but that's just the material world. Problems are there, unavoidable. So we have to take shelter of Krishna, take shelter of the holy names in the age of Kali. Then we know we can overcome the difficulties. And we can tolerate the difficulties, because they will come. So, but we have to take shelter of Krishna, and then we can overcome and tolerate the difficulties. Okay? Yes?
A question,
Yeah, sure. Outside of what? Of all this.
Can you give me your personal interpretation of the adjective transcendental?
The personal interpretation of
your own interpretation, definition of transcendental.
transcendental.
Yeah. Because we use it so often, right? Transcendental, etc. But what does it mean exactly?
Yeah, so transcendental, so the word transcendence is there, which is beyond this material existence. Of course, just the word is there, transcending, so transcending the situation, overcoming some situation. So that is transcending or transcendental. So Prabhupada, he chose this word to refer to the spiritual nature, which is beyond the modes of material nature, beyond this material world. So then he used the word transcendental. So that is beyond this material world, beyond this material existence. So other names may be there for a spiritual dimension. So like we say, the spiritual world. So there is matter and there is spirit. So matter is here in this world, material, material object, material things. Even it may be more subtle. Material consciousness, the consciousness. So material world, material body, gross and then subtle, material consciousness. But then beyond this material existence, beyond even the material consciousnous, so the soul is there, and the soul means consciousness also. The conscious living entity. So, by engaging in spiritual activities, by chanting the holy names, so we can go beyond this material existence and go to the spiritual existence. So, spiritual life. So, transcendence means also a spiritual action, ultimately. So, beyond this material world. Transcendental. Transcendental means spiritual also. So this transcending, overcoming this material world, material existence. So but it is spiritual. And the three energies are there. So the spiritual energy. Sandhini, Samvit and Ladini Shakti. So Krishna is the source of everything. And is beyond this material world, eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. So transcendental means beyond this material existence, beyond the modes of material nature. So Krishna is the supreme transcendence. So, of course, if you see English dictionary, you may see something else also, but I think it is good enough, right?
And how transcendental we are.
How transcendental we are? Well, that depends upon you. How much you're free from the modes of material nature.
No, initially we are souls, right?
Yeah, soul one is completely transcendental.
But we are this right now in this
But
condition.
in the material world, so the soul is put under the modes of material nature. And then is conditioned. Then he is not transcendental. But when you come in contact with a devotee of the Lord, when you engage in spiritual activities, transcendental activities, you become slowly but surely transcendental. The more you are advancing, the more you become transcendental. So the more you become free from modes of material nature.
Would you say we are a combination of all of this?
We have
Like-
combination of all of this?
Like
Of
because-
what?
Okay, for example, we are initially transcendental because we are initial souls. We were never born, so transcendental quality or whatever.
Yeah, we are transcendental by nature. The soul is transcendental by nature, spiritual by nature, beyond this material world. But because of being conditioned, so first spiritually conditioned. Of course, some living entities are never conditioned. Nitya Siddha, the eternal associates, they're always perfect. Nitya Siddha. And then there are the other category known as Nitya Bada, Anadi Bada, since time immemorial conditioned. So, but by coming in contact with the devotees of the Lord, by the mercy of the Lord, by engaging in spiritual activities, transcendental activities, we become transcendental slowly but surely. The more we engage in spiritual activities, the more we become transcendental. That's all. So you have to endeavor nicely and you have to beg for the mercy, cry for the mercy. Bhakti Yoga Dan, Bhakti Krishna Nam Smarane Krandane. So that is Bhakti Yoga, the wealth of Bhakti Yoga. So chanting and then crying. First without tears, but then later on in purified consciousness, naturally the emotions will come, the tears will come. So, the spiritually awake Jiva, so when he's engaging in spiritual activities, so he's still in this body, a material body, but then he's connected, because by nature we're connected to the Lord, and one who is realizing, then he's engaging in spiritual transcendental activities. And then the emotions are coming ultimately from the soul. But the Jiva is in this body, and then actually it is also mentioned by the consciousness, transcendental ecstatic consciousness coming in touch with the water element of this body, then that will cause tears to come from the eyes. When the transcendental consciousness is touching the water element, then tears will come from the eyes. That is mentioned also in the scriptures. So therefore the difference, so by coming in contact with the earth element, then one will become stunned in ecstasy. Or by coming in contact with the fire element, then one may sweat. So heat is there, sweating profusely, and so on. So the more we are absorbed, the more we become transcendental from the modes of material nature. But then the practicing devotee, so he cannot always be on the transcendental plane. And then again he comes on the modes of material nature, and when he's trying to engage in spiritual activities more and more, then he becomes a little bit free again. And the complete mercy is there when we are firmly situated on the transcendental plane and then are attached to Krishna. Then we become detached and then we become realized. And that is a complete mercy. One is becoming completely free from this material entanglement and attached to Krishna. And then the loving exchange is there with Krishna. So you can see for yourself how transcendental you are, right?
Can't judge myself.
Okay. But so the intelligent devotee, practicing devotee, so he can see also. Okay, now even there is mention in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, and the yogi, so he sees that sometimes it's a mode of goodness, sometimes mode of passion, sometimes mode of ignorance. If one is equiposed, then one feels some happiness, so that is mode of goodness. If one becomes, like eager to get material things or becomes angry, mode of passion. If one becomes lazy and procrastinating and negative, then that is mode of ignorance. So sometimes, even though we're practicing devotee, so he wants to be transcendental, but then still he's on the modes of material nature and he can see and feel. But the more one is purified in consciousness, transcendental, so the more the modes of material nature are not affecting the spirit, soul, the consciousness. So they may be there, but only slightly affecting. And so then he sees passion and then he's, okay, go away passion, pushing it away. So these material emotions, they may be there, but then he's pushing away. The more one becomes advanced, then it becomes more easy. And therefore, even in the greatest difficulty or calamity, because he's transcendently situated, so he can tolerate. But slightly affected by it may be there. When it is very cold, so even the transcendental personality, he will feel a little cold and he's putting some sweater or some chadar. And he's tolerating and is not so much affected, but still he feels cold and he has a sweater. And this one is a Mahayogi. And then he's even there in the winter. Even then, so having just a small cloth around the waist to just cope in. Even Nanga Babas are there, naked sages. They are spiritually situated and they can tolerate, because of practice also, then they can tolerate the heat and the cold. So but then the pure devotees also when in this world and that they are interacting or with other people and so that to some extent they're transcendental at the same time they are in this world, and then there's the modes of material nature or the laws of nature are there, and materialistic persons are there, So is bound to be to some extent affected by it also. But then is protected by Krishna. Yes? Anything else? Yes.
How we can better understand the role of dharma in our bhakti level, not in our bhakti way, because sometimes we can hear just do what we do,
Uh-huh.
only chant holy name and practicing bhakti, but because not so many people in our age can follow dharma strictly and strive to this, no need to think about it, just chant holy name, but what kind of chanting we can have if we not follow dharma, and like Arjun, firstly Krishna told him not follow dharma now, kill your relatives, right? But Arjun in that time he was completely in dharma level and he was successful in control his senses, like he already take this level of dharma, and only after this bhakti will start, or how we can better understand, like real bhakti, pure bhakti.
Also we have to understand dharma, first of all. So as mentioned here, we're discussing dharma, right? Jaiva dharma,
Yes, yes, yes.
jivka dharma, sanatan dharma, vastav dharma, paro dharma. So the highest dharma, that is service to Krishna, paro dharma. So dharma means religion or the constitutional position of the soul. That is serving Krishna. So that is dharma, serving Krishna. And with pure love. So that is dharma, the highest dharma. And then and then there is Naimittika dharma, a religion of this world, so which is helping the conditioned also to some extent. Like Vana Ashram dharma. Following Vana Ashram, that refers to this body also. In the body of a man or a woman. And so you have to follow that. You have to act like a man. You have to act like a woman. That is dharma of the woman. Is cooking in the kitchen. Or sewing some dress for the deities, like she made some nice dress for the small deities there, Radha Krishna. That is the dharma of the woman. And so she has to take care of the house, the husband, father-in-law, mother-in-law, if they're there, take care of the children. So that is the dharma of the woman. Dharma of the man is a little different. He has to protect the wife. He has to give whatever she needs, some nice sari, some nice jewelry. He has to earn some money to pay for the bills, and to get the rice and this. You give the money to the wife who's spending. So that is his dharma. And so he must have done an occupation also, either as a brahmana or kshatriya, vaishya or shudra. Yes, his occupation as brahmana. So then he performs brahminical activities and then he will get remuneration, dakshina. And then he can take care of his family also. So that is also dharma. So different dharma, but the highest dharma is serving Krishna directly. Vana ashram dharma, that is naimittika, that is temporary, related to this world, related to the body, or the consciousness also. The niti dharma, so moral codes are there, what you should do, what you should not do. Morality has to be there. Don't lie, don't steal, don't harm anybody else. So that has to be followed also. I mean, if you speak the truth, so that is also Dharma. But it is not direct seva to the Lord. So, and then what is proper, what is not proper. So understanding this, that has to be there also. So following religious principles, so that is Dharma. To do the things properly, according to the scriptures, according to the instructions of the Spirit Master. So that is also Dharma. So the highest Dharma is serving Krishna. That is Vastav Dharma, real Dharma. So religious Dharma is there, or in regards to this world. So that has to be followed also. So we stand by truth. We speak the truth. So what is truthful, that is acceptable to us. That is also one form of Dharma. So different meaning of the word Dharma, so that you have to understand, and then we act accordingly. So we engage in Nitya Dharma, and as much as possible we follow also Naimittika Dharma. Anything else?
I notice sometimes they just feel it's Nitya Dharma, it's more joyful.
What?
Like this Nitya Dharma, this Dharma is more joyful and like more high taste, and they just give up everything, and like families, children, and just jump in that level. How we can understand it?
Yeah, of course. Nitya Dharma is most joyful, and so if you can just engage in Nitya Dharma, that is first class. That is the best, and we try. So at the same time, we should not prematurely give up the activities of this world. So if one is becoming a devotee and then is engaging in devotional service, so he may be householder and he will think, oh well, I should take care of my wife and the children and the family. I just said Hare Krishna and be happy. No, but you have to be responsible and do your duty. Do your duty, that is also Dharma in this world. So it may be secondary, but it has to be followed also. Primary duty is to serve Krishna, and that is real Dharma. But then secondary is there, that is take care of the family and be truthful, righteous, help others. So that is Naimittika Dharma, that is of this world. But then if Krishna is in the center, then that will be also offered to Krishna. And then one is properly situated. And then it becomes also practically like Nitya Dharma. If the consciousness is there. So one is householder, one has family. But if one is thinking everything belongs to Krishna, my house, my wife, my children belong to Krishna. I engage them in Krishna Seva. So then that also becomes Nitya Dharma. So by being in this world, so connection is there with this body. We cannot give that up immediately. But we have to transcend. Transcendental. We transcend then these things and we try to be properly situated on the transcendental stage, worshipping the supreme transcendence, Sri Krishna, the real reality, the real beauty. Anything else?
Can we say if we're not born like Naistika Brahmachari's bodies, it's following to this Nitya Dharma in our like if we not have body Naistika Brahmacharis, if we follow this material Dharma and Nitya Dharma, it's make us more stable in this world, like for our purification and like step by step we continue to our goal. Can we say this?
Yeah, well, that is external again here, brahmachari, Naistika brahmachari. So that refers to this body. But ultimately it does not matter if you have a grihasta, a householder, if you're brahmachari or sannyasi. That is external, that is secondary. The main thing is that we have to be engaged in devotional service. And then we are properly situated, even as a householder. And there's no difference between a householder, a brahmachari or sannyasi, if they are fully engaged in devotional activities. So that is external, and we have to transcend the external and come to the platform of the soul, of ourselves. We are spirit soul. And we engage in the service of the Lord, and then reciprocation is there. And then transcendental experiences are there. So, and then the external world is insignificant. But we live in this world, so we cannot deny it. That we have to understand, and we have to follow some principles of this world that cannot be avoided, that we have to do. But if one is fully dedicated, then it becomes practically also like Nitya Seva, because the absorption is there in Krishna. Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, and then Krishna's pastimes. Okay. Okay, it's 8:15 almost. Hare Krishna.